I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And this is The Coin Show. On this episode of The Coin Show, Matt tells us about Hobo nickels. I'm going to review a book named Carson City Morgan Dollars. We'll answer a listener question, and we'll talk about the coolest thing to walk into Matt's shop this week. But first, the news. The news is sponsored by the American Numismatics Association. Join today at money.org/join to be part of the world's largest organization dedicated to numismatic education. Matt, 2014 gold-proof eagle prices may be ready to rise. It's a maybe. Gold prices have been hovering around $1,300 an ounce, the weight at which the coins will receive a price hike. So, a rise in prices over $1,300 will trigger a $50 rise in prices for the gold-proof 1-ounce coins. And the other gold coins will kind of receive adjustments, as little as $5 for the 10th ounce coins. But now may be a very advantageous time to buy before they go up.
Yep. They tend to do that from time to time as the prices change.
Well, absolutely. And, the one thing that we have proven over time, I guess, by really watching precious metal is that the price is unpredictable. And with the mint and the way that they structure their pricing, if you see the chance that it's going to go up and you're going to buy them anyway, buy now.
Yeah.
Save the money. If they don't go up, you don't hurt yourself. If for some reason, the price of them goes down, the great thing about ordering stuff from the U.S. Mint is they have an awesome return policy.
Yes, they do.
You just send it back.
Yep. No questions asked.
Yeah,
as long as they get the coins back, you're good.
Yep. You can beat a $50 price increase just by acting a little bit sooner than most. And, it's almost halfway through the year now. So, if they make an adjustment, or if the price goes over $1,300, which, it's been hovering right around there
it's very close.
Yeah. So you always want to anticipate the moves before the mint.
That's good advice. That's sage advice, Mike.
Thank you. I every once in a while, I can't help but be right. 2 of the 3 Baseball Hall of Fame coins have sold out. Are you aware that the silver dollars are now sold out?
The silver dollars are sold out. Wow,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, the $5 gold coin and the $1 silver coins are no longer available. They have hit their maximum mintage. The maximum mintage on the gold coin was 50,000. The maximum mintage on the silver dollars was 400,000. This is combined for both, proof and uncirculated. Fortunately, if you are one of these cutting edge people that still wants to have one of the coins, but just couldn't get around to it until later. The clad half dollars are still available.
Not surprising.
And it looks to me like they're going to be available for a long time.
Well, and I'll tell you something funny. This particular series actually set a record in our store.
What, for how fast they sold, or for how many?
How fast I bought one through the door after the release.
Why does that not shock me? You're talking about the gold one, right?
Yeah, we bought gold and we bought all 3.
Oh, okay.
We bought 6 gold pieces through the door last week.
Well, they created their own new Flipper's Paradise, because they sold out almost immediately.
Yes, they did.
When they went on sale.
They're trading as of last look, around $850 each.
Yeah, which is what, twice issue?
Almost double the original
Yeah.
issue price
It was
already.
about twice the issue price. So I mean that's a heck of a good investment. Now the silver dollar baseball coins have also sold out, and I think that they represented the more affordable, more of the everyman's option. Because
Yeah, they're even those coins are still trading around $90 a piece.
well, and they're going to go up even more now because they've sold out. All 400,000 of them. What I think is interesting is that, okay, if you are dead set on having one of these, concave convex coins, your opportunity is going to be there probably for the rest of the year. Because, and this is where the mintage numbers get really weird when you look at them. It's like they sold 50,000 gold coins the first day. And then that was sold out. Then they sold 400,000 silver
Yes.
baseball coins, both unk and proof. They've only sold 180,000 clad halves.
It's because they're clad. They're not made out of anything.
Well, that's correct, but I mean, do you really honestly think that people bought these for precious metal? I don't. I think they bought them for the novelty of the coin, and the precious metal is kind of driving the prices of them at this point. Do you know what I mean? As far as the subtle difference between the two?
It just shows it goes to show the difference in how much collectors value coins that do have a precious metal content rather than just a base metal coin.
Absolutely. And I think as far as the commemorative coins go, it's been proven time and time and time again that over time, if you look at, ones that they've made clad halves, they're all common. And most of the commemorative coins that they've made in the modern era, since the release of the George Washington in '82, most of them that they've made since then have not done tremendously well. I mean,
oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's any of those clad ones really have trouble taking off. I can't think of any that have done good.
Well, even the silver ones, to a large extent, have not really done particularly well. The gold ones, some of them have their moments. You have a Jackie Robinson that came out of the blue in '98. This one's going to be another one like that. The 5-star Generals one, I think it's because the minages on them are so small that people saw an opportunity, and I think that what we see is going to be a spike in the price, and it's going to come back down. But the clad, half really kind of it shows the emperor fully naked, because I don't think people are interested in this for the novelty of the coin, or at least they don't see
only 181,000.
Right, they don't see any flipping potential in them at all. Whereas with the silver ones, as soon as they sell out, the flip potential becomes it's there. The clad ones, they've sold 180,000 to this point. Up until, well, actually, that's to sales up until I think it was April 13th. And the maximum mintage is 750,000 of these. So, I mean, they could still make another 500,000 of these and not run out of them.
Yeah, I doubt that. I doubt they're going to hit their limit on those.
I doubt that. Now, here's my kind of, how I'm a really odd thinker sometimes. I think way outside of the box.
This should be good.
Well, usually is. I would say that due to the just abysmally small mintage of these clad halves, that it might be time to pick one up. Because I think this coin may die on the vine, and that clad half may end up with a mintage under 250,000.
Yeah, but I think if the mint kind of just got a little creative in their marketing, they could sell those coins out. I mean, if they started offering them for sale at baseball stadiums, in Major League Baseball stadiums, they would sell the crap out of them.
Put them in a holder or a box that is individual to do an MLB, cross promotion.
Yeah.
Do a cross
promotion. Do the team. Yeah.
I know marketing people, and trust me, if the U.S. Mint is looking for marketing people, I know where they can find all of them that they need. There's a school full of them that I go to. But I honestly think that this is one of those where people are looking at it as, it's ridiculous. I don't want a clad half. And I mean, I'm serious that I think people are just absolutely disregarding this coin. And it is that disregard that may end up creating a premium for it years from now.
As long as they're still available to buy it. We can't really speculate, honestly.
That's true. But I say that after they're no longer available, depending on how low the number stays, if they end up making 400,000 of them like they make the silver one, then you got a different story, because the silver one is going to always be more desirable. But if they make half as many of these in clad that they make in the silver, you never know. There just might be something there for people.
It's tough to say.
Yeah, But we'll find out. We will find out over time. Also close to a sellout is the 2014 Philadelphia Mint, the P-Mint, Great Smoky Mountains National Park 5-ounce hockey puck. Sales are creeping towards 25,000 coins, which would be a sellout.
Huh.
I know. I said exactly the same thing. It's like none of these coins have sold out since the very first year. And
these
I think
are the
it was
versions, right?
These are the mint versions, which I don't think they've ever sold any of them out.
Huh. Interesting.
23,547 of the Mount Rushmore coins sold before all was said and done. Now suddenly, this one is going to sell out, within a fairly short period of time. Any idea what you'd attribute this to, Matt?
People being really proud of the Great Smoky Mountains. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe they're selling them in Gatlinburg or something.
You know what? Maybe we should try and find out what the demographics on it are as to where they are selling, because that might very well have something to do with a local pride thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's an awful lot of 5-ounce coins, particularly when these are selling for a huge, like twice what silver's selling for.
Maybe they're giving them away at Dollywood. Who knows?
I think that we've had this program now. This is the 4th year of it. And now we're finally starting to see the first coin sell out. And it's not, where if Mount Rushmore would have sold out, I'd have said, okay, that's because of where it is. It's the monument itself. It's a really popular monument nationwide.
Yeah. But
Mount Rushmore didn't sell out, and the Smoky Mountains are. So it's one of those. Yeah.
It's another mystery. You're full of mysteries tonight.
2014 will see the Royal Canadian Mint launching coins commemorating the life and achievements of Pope John Paul II, who will be canonized on April 27th of this year. So they're going to shoot him out of a cannon.
Big net.
Yeah. The 200, because he's not going to move a whole lot. The 264th Pope visited Canada 3 times during his pontificate, and he remains the most popular Pope of at least my lifetime, which has spanned many popes. He did a lot of traveling. He was probably the first Pope that you remember.
Yes.
Because of how young you are. And what I will tell you is that he is, without question, the most popular Pope of at least the last 100 years. He was a tremendously popular figure worldwide. And now they're going to canonize him, which I'm not Catholic and I don't play one on TV, but I think that means that they're going to try to make him a saint.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think that's what that means. I don't want to hear the grief about being, slightly off on it, that it's a little bit different or whatever. But yes, so he's going to be canonized. His canonization, or whatever you call it, was suggested by Pope Benedict before he retired, and has been approved during the new Pope Francis's pontificate. So. Yes.
It's interesting. He probably surely deserves it.
I think he had. Like I said, this is a guy who was worldwide just tremendously popular. Now, there's a gold coin that weighs 1/4 ounce, and it'll have a face value of $25. A silver coin that is a 3/4 ounce coin with a $10 face value. Okay? The gold coin is selling for $649.95, and the silver is going to be sold at $69.95. Those are both Canadian, so it's just under $600 US and just under $65 US.
Interesting.
But Pope John Paul II, a really, really, really popular guy. Not, decent looking coin. Both the coins are going to be identical. Both, obverse and reverse. Just obviously one in gold, one in silver. I would think size-wise, with one being a 1/4 ounce gold coin, one being, they're going to be different sizes. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there'll be no plating of the silver coins.
That's probably a good idea that they didn't.
Probably. Let's see. It appears that the 2014 W uncirculated silver American Eagle will be a more common silver American Eagle than at least the last 3 years. Opening sales figures show over 106,000 coins have sold already this year.
And this is the
That's the W mint from
Yeah,
the mint.
Sure.
Not the bullion version that's sold by your bullion dealers. This is actual individual single orders going to the mint for this coin. But what I thought was absolutely amazing was 2012, their sales were 230,872. 2013 was 216,877. Now it's April, and they've already sold 106,000 of this year's coin.
Well, I wonder, that could be a decent sign for the economy. I'm no economist, but
yeah. Well, last year's sales were an abysmal 178,941 when the mint ended sales in December. So, I mean, this year we've already sold over half as many. And the reason may be due to a lower price from the U.S. Mint. You know, last year's coin sold for $48.95, and this year's is $43.95. And add to that subscription buyers get the additional 10% off.
That's true.
They've sold half as many this year as they did all of last year. So that's a trend. I think that says something. Not really sure.
Not quite sure what it is. Yeah.
That's me. I just point stuff out. I let other people translate it.
Figure it out, but I think something's up.
And finally, our neighbors to the north, America's hat, are trying something else that's new.
This should be interesting.
A series of coins emblematic of the legend of Nanabuzu.
No, I don't think it's Nanabuzu. I think it's Nanabuazu or Azhu. Nanabuazu.
Have you seen a pronunciation guide on this?
No, I'm just
okay. Well,
I would pronounce it.
I'll go with Nanny Boo Boo. So, a series of coins emblematic of the legend of Nanabuzu. That's what I'm going with. It's an Aboriginal tale handed down through generations of native North American cultures. And the offerings will include 3 1-ounce fine silver coins. They're going to make 3 different coins dedicated to this legend. You know, it's kind of like the Chupacabra legend.
Not quite.
Or the Bigfoot legend. You know, it's
not quite.
Well, it's a monster that doesn't necessarily exist, is what I'm saying. It's folklore.
Yeah, well, that may be true, but comparing it to a Chupacabra...
Then again, you've never seen my sister-in-law. But there are 3 1-ounce fine coins. There is a pure gold coin and another first, and this is what got me excited about it, is a 1/10 ounce platinum coin.
Oh, cool.
The coin will feature a face value of $5 Canadian and will have a total mintage of 3,000 coins.
That's pretty cool. 10th ounce, nice size.
10th ounce is a cool size. It's affordable because, you're only going to be looking at, about $150?
Or it's the platinum, yeah, but who knows what the real Canadian meant.
That's true. You have to see what the sale price on these are. But, 3,000 coins. Canada just gets it. They get it. They keep trying new things. Some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. But they're constantly
I was just looking at. I found current pricing.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Current pricing is $299.95 Canadian or around $275 US.
$275 US. That's still under double face.
It's a lot. But
yes,
it's neat looking though.
It is a neat looking coin though. And the silver coin, they have an enameled silver coin.
Enameled?
Yeah, it's colored.
Huh.
It's in color. It looks really, really cool.
That's
the Legend of Nanabuzu silver coin. And let's see, then there's Nanabuzu and the Thunderbird's Nest silver coin. And there is a 999 silver with a detail of gold plating. That's the third silver coin. And then there's a pure gold.
Interesting.
Yeah. But
they're good-looking coins.
3,000 coins. That's it.
Yeah, that's not very many.
Well, I look at it this way. If you're going to try different things, keep the miniatures small. That way, if it's a flop,
out too far.
Right, if it's a big flop, then you really haven't made too big a mistake. And if it's popular, the really tiny mintage numbers are going to drive a secondary market on these things like you would never believe.
Oh, I know.
Well, you should, because that's your business.
Yes. Neat.
Are you a member of the American Numismatic Association? The world's largest organization dedicated to numismatic education offers something for everyone, including an award-winning monthly magazine, The Numismatist, discounts on other numismatic publications, direct submissions to NGC, access to the biggest numismatic library in the world, and much, much more. Sign up today at money.org/join. You can find these and other news stories from the coin world on our website at coinshowradio.com. Just click on News on the top bar for our RSS news feed. Dude, you have found some of the coolest pictures of hobo nickels I have ever seen.
Aren't those cool?
I have seen in shows guys sitting there carving them. And
Really?
they're neat. Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're guys. There was a show in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and there was a guy that was sitting there just outside the hall, and he had, this giant magnifying glass and a hobo nickel, and he's sitting there and he's, carving it. Now, it's like you have brought hobo nickels tonight to talk to us about.
Yes.
But I would ask if there is a way that we can post these pictures. Are they licensed?
I don't know. I just pulled them off a Google image search. I don't think so.
Okay,
they don't have any copyright info in the pictures, so.
Because I always think that it's neat that they can take stuff and they can make, they can make one design into something entirely different without absolutely just eliminating it.
Yeah.
I guess it's the fact that buffalo nickels are basoned so well.
Yes.
They're so concave.
That's one of the reasons why they like them. Yep.
Yeah. That it makes these really interesting to do. Now, of all the ones that you've brought to talk to us tonight, my favorite, and I mean this is my favorite hobo nickel of all time, is the one right above in your piece that says Modern Hobo Nickels, with the skeleton with the Tim Burton eyes.
Yeah, skeletons are really popular. They change a lot of these coins into skeletons. I don't know why. But
I have never seen one before.
Yeah.
I think that's just cool.
Yeah, that's the modern stuff. Hobo nickels I've always found interesting. I actually bought a relatively large collection of them this week, so that's kind of what inspired me. As usual, something from my everyday inspires me to bring something to the show. But if you don't know what a hobo nickel is, I'll kind of explain it to you here real quick, and then we'll talk about some of the history of them. Hobo nickels are an art form that involves a creative modification of small denomination coins, not necessarily always nickels. And basically these result in miniature coin-sized sculptures. Now the nickel, the U.S. nickel, is really favored for its size and its thickness and relative softness. But the term really is generic because they have been made on many different kinds of coins. I've seen them on Barber half dollars. I've seen them on English pennies.
You would think material-wise that nickel would not be the material of choice.
I mean,
Yet it is, and it holds up really, really well.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, is it does hold up really well.
See, I've always viewed buffalo nickels as art themselves.
Yes.
And it is a very artistic design, and like I said, I think it's just the depth and the concavity of the basoning of the dies. That gives them a lot of room to work with when they're carving these things.
And the rumor that I've always heard with these and how they got their name was that they used to be popular among actual hobos. Basically, the originators of these were homeless people who would panhandle for these nickels and carve them up and then offer them for sale.
Yeah.
For more than a nickel.
Well, it's a trade of some sorts,
Yeah.
It was a craft, a skill.
Yep. And it is not just focused on nickels, but when the buffalo nickel was introduced in 1913, it became the preferred medium because of the large profile and the thickness of the coin allowed for very fine detail to be carved into these coins.
Yes.
On earlier coins, the head was much smaller in relation to the size of the coin. For example, a Lincoln penny, the head covers about 1/6 of the area on the obverse. And on a buffalo nickel, the Native American's head occupies about 5/6 of the coin's area.
And that is, as art goes, unusual. Typically,
Yes.
white space, or as my daughter likes to say, negative value, is something that you use to balance, a sculpture or a drawing or something like that. It's almost as important what is not there as what is.
Yeah.
But in the case of the buffalo nickel, you have just an enormous amount of the obverse is actually covered by the Indian's head.
Yep. And there were other coins that had, a large amount of the surface area covered, such as the Morgan Dollar or the Columbian Exposition halves. But these coins really rarely carved due to their high face value at the time. A hobo wasn't going to panhandle for a dollar coin and then carve it up and try to sell it because, you could trade that dollar for 20 nickels. And
Yes. And then you can get 20, yes, and you can get 20 premiums.
20 premiums.
And, something else to think about, too, is that if you think about the era, when these tend to come from, it's the early part of the 20th century. Times were tough. There are a lot of people that are out of work. So you have artists and people with art talent, that really are, they have a lot of time on their hands. They have nothing better to do and very little money.
Yep.
So making art and selling it just becomes a way of life.
Yeah. And another factor actually that led to the popularity of the buffalo nickel was the sex of the subject. Nearly all the previous coins had depicted women. You got your Liberty nickels, Indian head pennies, Morgan dollars, barber coinage. So having a large, coarse male head on the coin actually lended to the preferral of this particular coin. And also, the buffalo. I've seen, hobo nickels where they've changed the buffalo into other things. I've seen them turn it into elephants. I've seen it turning into a man with a backpack, a little hunched over man. I mean, you see them turn into all sorts of things. So you have two sides of the coin that can actually really be altered.
I think it's really, really particularly interesting that they take something that is so familiar and it is so something that we know and we recognize readily. And you see a hobo nickel, and you do not see a buffalo nickel when you look. You just don't.
Sometimes you do,
but
sometimes you don't.
At the same time, you can still see where they got it from.
Yeah.
Because the design is that familiar.
Yeah. Now, there are two periods to keep in mind when collecting hobo nickels. They have what they call the classic period, which started in 1913 with the introduction of the buffalo nickel and ended about 1980 as some of these originators of the art died and passed on.
And obviously they were doing them well into their advanced age.
Yeah, well, these particular pieces have this kind of allure to them, so a lot of the more famous artists actually kept up doing it throughout their whole life. And then after 1980, you get into what they call the modern era. And this is an era where, obviously time and technology have progressed and the quality of these pieces has really improved. Many of the classic hobo nickels are very crude in their alterations. You see a lot of straight lines and dashes and punches being used.
Okay, and maybe the lettering and things like that look to be primitive or crude.
Yes,
for lack of a better term. Whereas with today's pieces, the more modern stuff, you can tell literally because of the technology of what they use to engrave and to carve it. Well, you know what? I'm going to throw out a personal challenge to any hobo nickel guy because I'm from Chicago. And it's hockey playoff time.
Blackhawks?
I want to see one with a Blackhawks head on it.
That probably wouldn't be too awful hard.
It shouldn't be. It's an Indian head.
Yeah.
It's facing the other way, but I think we can overlook that.
Yeah, well, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, big prizes.
Now, kind of elaborating on some of the more modern hobo nickels, there has really been a resurgence of new carvers in the last, I would say, 8 or 10 years or so. I think it's really taken off. There's a really great club out there for hobo nickel collectors. It's located at hobonickels.org. And this website is not only a club, but it's also a decent reference on some of the earlier artists, as well as some of the modern artists. They keep a record of what certain hobo nickels sell for in different auctions. And it's actually a decent reference for these because, as with any kind of art form such as this, where there's a lot of different, artists carving, it's really hard to come up with any kind of standard reference for this kind of stuff.
I think personally that it's amazing that they are even able to track some of these to their provenance, to who actually carve them. Now, I understand some of the designs are relatively consistent with, particular artists.
And certain artists would sign them. Certain artists had little marks they would put on them.
Yep.
Sometimes they didn't, though, and there's some artists out there that are just unknown.
Right.
So, being able to identify the artist of your piece actually does add some value to it, especially if he's, is a famous artist.
Yes, absolutely.
That can really add some value to your piece.
Sure.
And speaking of pricing on these really depends on a couple of things: their content, their age, and then once again, if you can identify the artist. Some of the earlier pieces by known artists can bring hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Some of the lesser-known artists or unsigned pieces can be had for $15 to $50. And some modern carvings can be had rather cheaply, while others I've seen selling for as high as $6,000 for modern pieces, for the really, really intricate modern stuff. So it really is kind of a niche part of the numismatic community, but I think it's something definitely worth looking into because, there are these modern artists that are being inspired by the classic period. And, it's something you can collect on a budget.
And some of the new art that they're creating on these is quite spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I really like that skeleton, the picture that you have of that. I mean, that one in particular, I would buy that coin.
Yeah.
I would absolutely buy that coin in a heartbeat. And I just think it's really interesting. Now, my question to you is there anybody that either, I don't want to say certifies because I'm not talking about slabbing it like PC. I mean, it's post-mint damage for
sure.
Yeah, I mean, just to really classify it as what it is. But as far as provenance and things like that, because there are some famous artists, is there anybody that will kind of,
Authenticate?
Yeah, that'll authenticate it. Thank you. That's the word I was...
Not really. The cool thing about that website I mentioned, hobonickels.org, is it does post some of the more famous artist works. So what you can do is you can either look at their signature on the coin wherever it's at. Sometimes I did it on the edge. Sometimes I did it on the hat. Sometimes I did it on the neck of the bust. And you can compare. And a lot of times you're able to identify your piece by just comparing with these other known artist pieces. So, that helps.
Yeah.
But as far as any kind of authentication, there isn't really any. I mean, and that's the thing about these that I think holds them back a little bit, especially the classic stuff. Anybody can get a nickel and start whacking on it and carve out a really crude hobo nickel and sell it.
That's true.
And, you really look at things on these, like their age. You want to see the patina on the coin, just like any other coin. If you find a coin that has a little gash in it, you can tell a new gash from an old gash. And the same goes with these carvings. They tend to fill up with gunk and grime over the years, and you just can't fake that. So
yes, but I also think that it's almost like a Picasso, where they're awfully hard to duplicate. There are certain things that you're just not going to be able to, but anybody can take their own whack at it for sure.
Yeah, yep, that's exactly right. And it seems like in this particular part of the hobby, it's actually encouraged.
Now, I'm sure you were listening intently to my intro because we have
a listener question.
We have a listener question. I also wanted to tell you that last week we decided to kind of do an impromptu giveaway.
Yeah.
Do you know that we gave away over 30 ANA memberships last week?
Holy cow, are you kidding me?
No, we gave away.
Shoot.
The American Numismatic Association said line them up and send them.
Awesome.
And so we did. We gave a new membership to everybody that wrote, asked, and followed instructions. You notice that I had to put those three things in there because not everybody did all three. But the ones that did all three got themselves a brand spanking new one-year membership to the ANA. And, we're always asking people to interact with us. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear your comments. And this week we have a listener question.
Awesome.
This is, really quickly, Jake was particularly impressed with the fact that one of the people that asked for an ANA membership was from Norway.
Really?
He says, I love the international flavor.
That's cool.
It was cool. So this question comes to us from Scott O'Dempsey. And Scott O'Dempsey, if I'm not mistaken, he's in England. So we have a listener question, and this comes all the way from across the pond.
Across the pond?
From across the pond.
Holy cow.
From Great Britain. And it comes from a listener. His name is Scott O'Dempsey, and he says, "Hello, Mike. I was recently re-listening to episode 34 of The Coin Show, where
Wow.
yeah, I know, he's going back, and this guy's like,
Awesome.
I'm a fan of Scott O'Dempsey. You and Matt were discussing the topic of coin toning. I'm a new collector. I've been collecting coins for about a year, and I always buy the coins I like, presuming I can afford them. But I'm a collector of ancient Greek and Roman coins. In my last several ancient coin purchases, I have noticed that the coins have a very nice brown or green patina on them. So my question to both of you, and I'm going to completely defer to you, and I hope you can help, is how is coin toning viewed regarding ancient coins? Is it viewed positively amongst ancient collectors, or is it something ancient collectors avoid? Personally, I like the coloring." Then he says, "Anyway, I really like your show and look forward to each episode. Kindest regards to you both." Scott O'Dempsey.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'll take a crack at this question. It is of my opinion that you do see a more general acceptance of toning artificially of ancient coins, simply due to the fact that a lot of these coins come out of the ground and get cleaned. One thing that we don't discuss a lot is obviously ancients. I like to call it a working knowledge of ancients. And basically, from my understanding, and please, guys, correct me if I'm wrong here, but
Please.
These coins come out of the ground, and they're almost always scrubbed in some way or another. They're almost always clean because, they're dirty and they're covered in dirt or whatever they come out of the ground in. And sometimes they go a little too far and take off a little too much on a nice coin. So then they, adversely go back and tone it down using whatever method they're going to use. I think it's more generally accepted toning, but I also think that just like, in your kind of more mainstream coin collecting universe, that I still think it's frowned upon most generally. But sometimes, it's either you get a coin that looks like it's been scrubbed with a wire brush, or you get a coin that's got some artificial toning that actually looks attractive.
Or natural toning that is just really overdone. All I want to do is throw my 2 cents on. When I throw my 2 cents in is this. I want to say that with ancients, it is much more acceptable to have brown, or even the green patina that you're talking about is typically corrosion.
Well, that's the verdigris, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that's frowned upon in coin collecting in general. However, when you're talking about ancient coins, you're talking about coins that are 5, 6, 7, 800 years old.
Or if not older.
If not older, and sometimes even older than that. And for somebody to really think this through and say, well, I have a 2,000-year-old coin in my hand, but this thing has never been corroded, is kind of naive. So I think it's something that's accepted more just because it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
And, the fact that it has that green patina on it is bad from the standpoint of, okay, the coin is actively corroding. However, the fact that it has it on it means that they haven't removed it.
Yeah, and the green is actually, believe it or not, certain shades of green actually tend to bring quite a bit of money. A friend of mine collects ancients, and he always explaining to me about, this particular coin has a nice apple green patina, and they call it patina, and that's
Sure,
fine. I mean, that
absolutely.
is what it is. But these bronze coins over the years, they tend to turn green, and it's always recommended, at least to me from him, to leave them that way.
Sure,
So,
absolutely. Well, you want them to be as close to the state of discovery as possible.
yeah, not necessarily the state of circulation, but the actual state of discovery.
Right, because that way you haven't altered it. It is what it is, and it got treated whatever way it got treated in its day and in its time. Now, you as a steward of this ancient coin, now you do it as best you can, and you try to preserve it as best you can, and that's just always been my opinion on it. But I'm not an ancient guy, so.
I think that's pretty sound advice, Mike.
Well, thanks. I think it's just good general coin advice. So, but Scott O'Dempsey, thank you. Thank you very much for writing to us. And if you have a question that you'd like to hear us answer the show, just write to us, Mike or Matt at coinshowradio.com. Well, write to Mike at coinshowradio.com. And write to questions at coinshowradio.com. And if we can answer it, we'll
take a crack at it.
We'll definitely take a crack at it. It is time for another book review. I feel remiss in the fact that this is the first one this year, but you know what? I've been looking for good books to review. And
I like this one.
I know you do, because as soon as I told you I was doing it, you told me you own a copy of it.
I do.
And I will tell you that this might be, this book is 130 pages.
It's not very thick. It really isn't.
It is one of the
it's like
thinner.
A college rule notebook. Thick.
It really is. It's one of the thinner books in my collection, in my library, and yet I would say that it has pound for pound just as much information as any of them.
I agree completely. This is, to me, the go-to reference on these particular coins.
Absolutely. The book is called Carson City Morgan Dollars, featuring the coins of the GSA Horde. Now, obviously, Matt has this, so it's not a brand new book. I'm reviewing the third edition, which was just released. It's a book by a gentleman named Adam Crum, Selby Unger, and Jeff Oxman. Morgan Dollars are one of the most popular series in the United States coins. So popular, in fact, that many numismatic references have been written about them. Now, the most romantic part of the story of the Morgan Dollar, in my opinion, is the story of the Carson City Mint. I think that a lot of people that collect Morgans, that study Morgans, they really kind of get into the whole Carson City Mint thing. They get wrapped up in it, and it seems to be the most shiny bauble in the Morgan Dollar series.
Yeah, it's like almost mythological type attitude people have towards the Carson City Mint.
And that's why I use the term romantic, because I really do think that collectors romanticize this particular part, because it's set in the days of the old Wild West. Frontier days in America that conjure images of saloons and bad guys with sheriffs and marshals to keep the peace. Your average life in spaghetti westerns, except the stories are absolutely real. Now, the Comstock load dictated a United States mint in Carson City, Nevada. And that mint would turn more of its silver into Morgan Dollars than any other coins. Ironically, the mint at Carson City didn't coin dollars in the quantity of either of the other two branch mints of its time, either New Orleans or San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
And Philadelphia production dwarfs all of them. But yet most of the gold, or most of the silver, came from that area, which is different to gold, where we see, gold was discovered in the southeastern United States. You have a mint that cropped up in Dahlonega and one in Charlotte. And then it's discovered out west, and you have a mint that pops up in San Francisco. This silver load was completely handled entirely differently.
Yeah, very much so. I think in my opinion, I think the original plan was to try to mint it all through there, but I'm just not quite sure it played out that way. I guess it was bigger than they thought.
Well, yeah, it certainly was. So I think it's interesting that the change in mint policy occurred right about that time. Now, Crum, Unger, and Oxman begin their guide to C.C. Morgan's by telling the story of the Comstock Lode and the history of the Carson City Mint. And although Morgan Dollars were not the first dollar coins struck at Carson City, many collectors would likely not know this fact. And the authors have done good work to include this part of early Carson City Mint history that oftentimes falls through the cracks of, numismatic lore. People love Carson City Morgans, and they comprise the most important part of the history of the Carson City Mint. But often I find that they're kind of the golden child of this mint's products. Many other denominations were struck at Carson City. And the authors strike a nice balance in presenting history, but not straying from the main target of interest. In all, they include 2 chapters of history and background, which is more than most Morgan references have. Now, this book is written very concisely, but it's not at all dry.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not one of those where you have a hard time reading it. This book is so, I invented the term fact-rich. Because, it is. It's so fact-rich that I found interesting details that appeal to my researcher side. It's not just a gloss over text or a book of super basic, commonly known information. This book gives and tells stories that you may not know, and does so in a style that's really interesting to read. And, here's an example that I really liked. In all, 333,022,048 silver dollars were melted between 1883 and 1964, which represented almost half of the Morgan dollars and possibly 75% of the peace dollars ever struck. The Pittman Act of 1918 mandated about 81% of these meltings. Now, in those two sentences, you learn how many Morgan and peace dollars were minted and what the demise and fate of over 50% of all of them combined ended up being.
Yeah.
And that was the melting pot. And I just thought that these are the type of things that you just find in page after page after page of this book, and it keeps it really interesting. Illustrations are ample and nicely set the tone in this book. Offerings include drawings of Anna Willis Williams, the woman whom the obverse of the Morgan dollar is modeled after, as well as contemporary photographs of the mint and important people of the era. Now, you know me, anytime I can get a picture, in a real-life picture of the model, I like.
You're all over that.
I am. I've always loved the picture of Anthony DeFranceschi's wife, Maria, because you look at her and you're like, wow, that is a peace dollar. And that's who modeled it. So, I mean, I just think that's neat. But after that part in the book, it gets really good. That's like, okay, if that was just basic starters, now let's really tell you about stuff.
Yeah.
And the remainder comprises the bulk of this book. And it is a proper, thorough reference that covers every Carson City Morgan dollar date by date. Statistical information includes the mintage numbers, how many were in the GSA hoard, what percentage of the total GS hoard they comprised, how many were not designated due to toning or scratches, etc., their overall rarity ranking within the GSA, their non-GSA rarity ranking, so for the ones that weren't in the GSA hoard, how rare are they, and how available each is in proof-like or deep mirror proof-like. That's a lot of info.
Yes.
And there's valuable stuff in there. Now, the authors also formulate what they call a condition census. And I really like this statistic because I'm kind of a numbers guy. It considers the top 50 graded examples and gives you the grade at which that occurs. So if you want to have one of the top 50 1880 CC Morgan dollars in a GSA case, you'd have to find one that's MS66. Now, if you're looking outside of a GSA case in a PCGS or an NGC slab, the top 50 coins are all MS67 or better.
Yeah.
And that's a really valuable bit of information for collectors at all skill levels. Because now not only do you know, okay, the top 50 coins are all like this or better. So now when you're looking at that MS66 or 65 coin and it looks really spectacular to you, you're like, yeah, but and that's not even in the top 50 of these.
Yeah.
And it might help you make a better buying decision, which that's what I think books are best for.
That's where you gain your value from them.
That's where you get your money back. VAM collecting is an area of strength in this reference. Each date is broken down for the reader in a catch-all generic sense, and then VAM by VAM, with beautiful, clear color photos of each coin, in most cases graded by NGC in the original GSA holder. Now, the depth is impressive and may be the finest quality of this book. I'm not a VAM collector, and I know a lot of other people don't, but the information is really unobtrusive to the reader of this book. It's not something that you have to kind of wade through, to glean the information that you want out of it.
Yeah.
And now, this isn't to say that it's lacking either. The treatment given to VAMs is not too much for the non-VAM collector and not too little for the VAM collector. And in my opinion, that kind of puts it in the Goldilocks zone. It's just right. So collector insights and variety notes round out each date and provide entertaining but informative reading. Two appendices at the end of the book provide a checklist for the Carson City collector who wants to complete a set and a population report from NGC for the series VAM by VAM, from MS63 to MS67 Dimple. So it gives you a pop report from 63 up in both DMPL and just regular MS63 through 67.
And those are coins just banded by NGC?
Those are just banded by NGC.
Well, now I guess, and that's where because this is the third edition of this book?
This is the third edition of this
Yeah.
book.
I was thinking that now that PCGS has just recently started certifying them, so that would not surprise me if they started to include that information in this particular edition.
I think so.
Or the next one, to say.
I don't think that, well, it probably is the next update would be to include the PCGS stuff, but I guess we're going to have to give it time for that actually to enter the market, for it to kind of shake out a little bit. Because some coins will be crossed over and some coins won't. What I thought was interesting, particularly with this, was that there are some coins that there were only one of in a GSA hoard. Mm-hmm. And you can probably name them off the top of your head. I know I can't.
The 1889 Carson City is the first one that comes to mind.
Okay. Or the 92 CC.
No, that one's really never been confirmed. It's been...
Well, it's in... They show it in a picture in a GSA holder. So it's like the total mintage says 1.352 million. Total GSA holdings of 1.
1, yeah.
1.
I've had the 89 in my hand.
Oh, have you?
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, because there's only one of them. So the one that is featured in the picture in this book is the one that you had in your hand.
Yes.
And I mean that's just cool.
Yeah, I always thought that was neat. I like to handle that stuff when I can find it. But yeah, I heard it. And that was a few years ago when I had looked at that coin. So.
And that coin is a MS62 deep proof-like.
It's actually like an AU58 deep mirror proof-like, but we won't.
Okay. According to NGC, it's an MS62 deep proof-like. Anyways. I would place this book in the must-have category for CC Morgan Dollar collectors. It's an amazing amount of entertainment and information packed into less than 150 pages. This book is not the size of the Oxford English Dictionary.
No.
It will, however...
It's like a 1 or 2 day read if you really bang it out.
Yeah, if you really want to bang it out, but it will, however, compete with many of the big references in the arena of CC Morgan information. So if you collect Carson City Morgan Dollars, whether generically or by VAM, you'll find yourself reaching for this reference time and again. Its value far in excess of its cover price. I would place this book among one of my favorite reads and a reference worth adding to your collection.
I know I use it very often.
Okay, so we clearly know that many, many cool things walk into your shop.
Yep.
And we also further know that you have this amazing blog at whatwalkedin.com where we can find pictures.
I chronicle these things.
You chronicle it. So I never get the advantage of seeing these things first. I am just as in the dark as everybody else. I think you do. I think you like torturing me is more what it is.
That too.
Yeah, that's got its own positive points.
There are gems created when Mike has no idea what's coming. So let me just say that.
That is definitely outside of Michael's comfort zone. We know that. So what's the coolest thing that walked into your shop this week, Matt?
This week was actually kind of an interesting, and it's actually a group of 5 coin that walked in. But it is something that in the... How many years has it been now? In the 8 years I've been running the coin shop, I have not had one of these walk in. And I had 5 of them walk in at the same time.
Okay, this is 5 of the same coin?
Similar.
Okay.
What it was, and it's going to sound at first kind of like, oh, well, that's it. But we bought 5 8 real coins from both Peru and there was, I think, one from Bolivia. That were dated between 1798 and 1807. Doesn't sound like much.
Those may very well have circulated in the United States.
Well, the thing is, these circulated all because they're all gem uncirculated.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the part that I found very interesting.
200-year-old MS-65 coins.
Yes. Yeah.
That were all too often chopped into pieces.
Yes. Not one of them, but there were 5 of them. So Like I said, it's something I have never bought a raw uncirculated one through the door. I've bought literally thousands of circulated chop marked.
Well, yeah, because that's what all of them are. I mean, it's like 99% of the population.
Yeah, sea salvaged.
Yeah. And just to be fair to our listeners, we're talking about 8 real coins, which are also known as piece of 8.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the coins that that circulated in the earliest days of the United States. They were legal tender.
Yep.
And what people used to do is they would literally cut these coins into halves and quarters and eighths, and that's why they called it a piece of 8.
Yeah.
It's because you could cut it into 8 pieces, and if you took 2 of those 1/8 pieces, they became a quarter of the coin, and that is why a quarter is called 2 bits.
Oh,
there's your little factoid for today.
And the cool thing about these coins is they were minted in several countries in South America and also Central America. You see them from Mexico quite often. But, as you get into South America, like these particular coins, you see them from Peru, you see them from Bolivia, you see them from Colombia. So basically, any of these countries that were Spanish colonies in this particular period, I think most, if not all of them, had at least one mint that was making, 8 real coins and also the escudo coins.
Okay, now out of curiosity, I would assume that the ones from Bolivia and from the other Spanish countries look really, really similar to each other.
The only difference is the mint mark.
Okay.
The entire coin design is exactly the same. The only difference is the mint mark. So these coins were traded, between countries, across border, obviously here in the United States, as you already said. So, I think that makes them really, because you get this coin that has the exact same design being struck in a half dozen or more different countries at the same time.
And this is also something that, once again, reinforces that idea of coins trading internationally, and the reason that they did it is because they were traded based on their weight.
Yep. And these were the preferred coins of their day because they tended to be pretty standard as far as their weight goes. And I believe they were, I don't want to say more pure, but had...
They were consistent, and I think that is really what the hallmark of it was. At the point that these coins were made, the United States Mint hadn't even existed for 25 years. Now, we think of, U.S. Mint coins being like the standard the world over. So think about the world with this was the standard of their day.
Yeah, and these are going up on the blog. I'll post pictures of them. These coins, they're unusual to see with this large amount of luster. I mean, these coins are super lusterful. And
they
you
sound
look
like
at
they're monsters.
For example, there's a coin 1798 here, and if you think about it, they're absolutely gorgeous. And you look at this coin for 1798, and you think, okay, well, if this was a 1798 American bust dollar in this condition, this would be like a $500,000 coin. And and it was the exact same year in South America, which at the time, of America being very basic in 1798. Well, imagine Peru in 1798.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I thought they were really neat.
I assume that they were priced correctly.
As far as when we bought them?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously anything that comes in the door, we sure as heck try to be as fair as we can. But, we're going to make a little money. I'm going to send them in to get certified, I think. And
now, where did you send these, NGC or PTGS?
I'll probably send them to NGC just because they're closer to us. And
better turnaround time. We get them back about a week sooner. So, and they'll look really cool in those nice white holders.
Maybe I'll get them to put them in the retro.
There you go. Have them put them in the black holders. Those would look awfully cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Now, in your experience, how many of these have you ever seen in Gem State?
Not very many. I mean, you see them every once in a while at shows, and
typically at the bigger places like
Central States and the big coin shows.
There's
a few dealers there that do have them, but
I mean, it's not something that you're going to find at your average dealer's table. It's going to be a monster dealer that you're going to see him, right?
It's going to be a specialized world guy, definitely.
Okay. Since you're sending them and they're not currently certified, that means that there is some question as to whether or not they will certify 65 or over or 65 or under.
Okay.
The question of mine is, how big a swing is there from one side of that number to the other?
As far as going any higher than 65, I really only think that maybe one of them has a chance. And as far as going on the low side of that, it would not surprise me if I got a 63 or a 64 back out of one or two of these. So
I guess more what I was asking is price-wise, how big a
Oh.
difference is there between something that it is slightly under 65 versus something that's 65 or above?
an MS65 on one of these coins is going to push probably $2,000. And an MS63 is going to push 650 to 750.
Okay, so there's a significant premium riding on the grade that they come back with.
That's exactly right. Welcome to my world.
We would like to thank our contributors, the Facebook friends, Twitter followers, people who follow our blogs, people who wrote to ask questions, or people who have in some other way inspired us. Our thanks to the great folks at the American Numismatic Association for their support. Visit them at money.org. The new money.org is coming sooner than you think. All of the people who are given a membership, courtesy of the ANA, will be very pleased that they did indeed get one.
They gave us a little sneak peek
It's
at the new website. It's pretty cool.
Our thanks to Tony Alvarez and the Tony Alvarez Band for our theme music. Visit them at TonyAlvarezBand.com. We'd also like to thank the Coffin Cats for their musical contributions. Visit them at CoffinCatsRock.com. That's K-Coffin, K-Cats, CoffinCatsRock.com. I'm working on some new music from them, so we'll have that for you soon. We'd also like to thank May Otley for our bumpers. Her site is hannahmayotley.wix.com/portfolio. And as always, a big thanks to our intern, Taylor Webb. And while those people are important contributors to the show, their importance absolutely pales in comparison to you, the listeners, without whom this entire endeavor would be completely pointless. Because you're the main reason that we do it.
The teaming tens.
Yes, the teaming 10, including people in Norway, apparently.
And England.
We love every last member of our audience, and we love our audience contributions even more. Send us your thoughts. Email us at Mike or Matt at coinshowradio.com, or you can also ask us questions. Send us a question to questions@coinshowradio.com.
Shoot, you can even send them to our Facebook page. We look at those too.
We do, and we answer them. Visit our webpage, conveniently located at coinshowradio.com. There you will find Matt's articles or my book reviews. On the book review page, you'll find links where you can purchase them on Amazon.com. Purchase them today. We also have pictures and bios if you're interested in knowing what we look like, or if you want to create internet memes, dartboards, or just want to make fun of us. You can also visit our listener map, and there you can place a pin in it and show us where you live. Our winners of the contest this week are everyone who wrote and asked for an ANA membership. And to be honest with you, anybody who's an ANA member, they're winners anyway. We gave away over 30 memberships last week, and they were all courtesy of the great people at American Numismatic Association. We also have 2 new places for your entertainment pleasure. Check out our new blogs. Check out a cool blog about all the cool stuff that walks into Matt's cool shop at whatwalkedin.com. Or you can read my fun facts that I post when I can at funcoinfacts.com. Feel free to stop by, check out our blogs, and give us some feedback. Like our page on Facebook, come and comment on one of our posts or post something of your own. Just try and keep it coin related. You can either find us by searching The Coin Show or Coin Show Radio. Follow us on Twitter. There you will occasionally find some exclusive content as well. You can find us or even mention us in your discussion. We are at The Coin Show. I will also throw out this hashtag that I kind of invented, and it's safe and it's clean for us. It's hashtag CoinGeeks. Use that one, CoinGeeks. It'll put everything on Twitter all in one place where you can find it. And I checked it. There's nothing there prior to us, so that's our own hashtag. You can also
CoinGeeks.
Hashtag CoinGeeks. You can also listen to our show on Spreaker.com. Just go to www.spreaker.com and search Coin Show Radio. Or you can find our show on players at various internet sites such as cointalk.com. If you'd like to host a player on your website, just email me, Mike, at coinshowradio.com for details. Our Windows 8 app is available in the Windows 8 phone app store. Download it several hundred times Or, if you have an Android phone, we have an app for that as well. Download it on Amazon for only $1.99. What a bargain for your entertainment, $1.99. And as always, our show is available for free on iTunes. You can download full versions of the show there. We urge you to do so and share it with your friends. More people continue to find us every single day and wonder just where the heck we've been.
And they go back and listen to episode 34.
They do. Be the first among your friends to find the Coin Show and share it with them. You'll be ahead of the curve, and they'll seem much more average in comparison. So for the Coin Show, I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll talk to you next time on the Coin Show. What we see is going to be a spike in the price, and it's going to come back down. That's okay. Nobody heard it. I'm a mystery wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in an enigma.
That mated with a conundrum.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And had a bad baby. If you want to have one of the top 50, say 1980 CC Morgan Dollars, or
1880?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to try and get the show done as soon as I can.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's always the pressure. You are just pressure.
No pressure. Yeah, I know. I'm a
high pressure dude.
Slave driver.
You are.
Coach.
Well, you get your money's worth out of me. That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay. That's it, TJ. Thank you very much.